Mateo, what did you think of that? Fair result, 0-0 in the end?
Look, I thought we could have easily had 4 goals in this game, right? So people look at it and say 0-0, both teams were pragmatic. They were both dropping back when the other had possession. It wasn't the most exciting game. It wasn't end-to-end, right? There was hardly any space to stretch the opposition. But in terms of quality chances, how we had 0 goals after that is inexplicable. Jonathan David slipping over his own feet, Gatti from point-blank range, Leao's 2 chances, Santi Jimenez had a header and a shot that were both pretty good chances, and then the Pulisic penalty, and we had 0 goals. So we could have easily had a 3-2, and we would have been like, wow, what a game. This is crazy. Juventus, gung-ho, Milan, amazing. But instead, we talked about the Milan defense, where they've conceded 3 goals so far in Serie A, second best just behind Roma. I think Roma's top of the table. And a Juventus team that all they do, just like Thiago Motta, is just draw games. Draw. This is what got Thiago Motta sacked, by the way. Thiago Motta wasn't losing games. He was drawing so many games. He had more draws than everyone in Europe. He was about to set a new draw record against teams he should be beating. So you could say, oh, we're undefeated. If you draw 38 match days, you're just above the drop zone. So it's not, you could spin it either way that you want.
Obviously, the big one was the win against Inter. It was a thriller, 4-3 they won in the end. A couple of draws in there, 5 in a row if you count all competitions. Now, how do you weigh up where Juventus are at this point in the season? Because it was a bumpy off-season for them, with them trying to replace Igor Tudor publicly, and then it felt like it settled down. Are you completely sold, though, on what we're seeing so far?
I'm left wanting more. I'm constantly left wanting more with this Juventus. I think that Juventus, for the stature of the team, we always have to put them amongst and say, oh, right, they need to fight for the Scudetto. But the reality is, for me, this team doesn't fight for the Scudetto. And now I'm talking about last final match day. Are they competitive enough? Yes, today they could be pragmatic, but they also get themselves into some insane matchups. And the way that they've defended at times, it's hard to understand the clear style of Igor Tudor and what he's brought to this team. I think that he's not been put in the best position because the team, as we mentioned, we got circles all over our papers here just pointing out who the really good players are for the team, who are the top players, who are the players that would have worn the Juventus jersey just a couple of years ago. But I said in the pre-match, I said in the post, I think that Tudor's also created his own confusion within this roster. I think there's too many players that are playing out of position. It's not playing to the strengths. He's very stuck on the formation that he wants to play. But personally, I've been saying this even during their wins, I don't think it fits the players to the best of their ability.
This team wasn't built well. First of all, the best Juventus, which wasn't that far ago when they won 9 consecutive Scudetti, that the peak of that team had about 7 or 8 players that were world-class. Genuinely world-class players in the midfield and the defense, Carlos Tevez up front. This team now, I look at it and how many players are genuine Juventus quality? Bremer, Kenaniotis, I like Kefren Turam, Di Gregorio maybe. Not many others that you're like, this is a guy that would start for most teams in the world. So forgetting all that, they added quality this summer. I think they added it, though, in the same positions. They have too many good attacking midfielders and strikers, right, on paper, because some of them aren't performing at all. And then they don't have enough center backs. I don't think they have enough central midfielders. I would have loved to see them go out and get another dynamic, quality central midfielder and another amazing defender that they could put next to Bremer and say, like a Leone type of player, right? That you can really look at and be like, this is the future of our defense. Because when I look at it on paper, we just have Bremer missing. It's not like a Napoli situation that they had 3 center backs missing. Juventus have Bremer missing, and they're putting out Rugani, Kelly, and Gatti.
The problem is, Mateo,
it's just not good enough for depth in key areas of the pitch.
But Mateo, you want to add a defender, you want to add a midfielder, you want to add. I understand if there was an unlimited budget, yes, but they under the last regime and even the regime before
they added
that,
the wrong players. They
struck out with Vlahovic, strike out with Koopmeiners, strike out with the Luiz, strike out with Lloyd. I don't know how Lloyd Kelly's in this team. I don't care if he scored a goal in the Champions League, right? Lloyd Kelly, Gatti, Kalulu in the team playing as a wingback out of position. This team is not good enough. Jonathan David, another strikeout looks like, right? Openda looks like a strikeout. You see his strike at the top of the box.
They both look lost.
Snatched at it, right? So like, I understand what you're saying. In a perfect world, like, yeah, all right, no budget, keep on adding guys because these guys are not good enough. But they keep on missing and they keep on signing and they keep on missing.
And they can't sell some of their key players.
And you can't reverse that in some of these deals that easily. I mean,
well, they did do that. They sold their youth. They sold their youth. Look at Dean Huijsen playing at Real Madrid. They sold off so many of the next-gen players from Juventus. It's actually a phenomenal system. You see these players playing in all of Europe that they're doing well. They sold them in what you say is the last regime. So they looked over some of those players. They didn't want to work through some of the issues that the team had. So Mateo's right that we're talking about the old Juventus. We're long away from the Juventus. And so to sit here and say, oh, I'm happy that they tied against Milan at home. For me, that now the bar is so low. The bar is low for Juve.
Hold on a second. We say they're away from the old Juventus, but this team spent more. I know there's inflation and everything. The markets are getting expensive, but they spend like the old Juventus. Their wages are like the old Juventus. They're spending in the summer like the old Juventus. I mean, how much did they spend last summer? 200 million? That's crazy amount of money for a Serie A team.
It was 120
They're just not
million.
buying good players. They're coal miners. Coal miners is not like
the guy didn't even play today.
No.
I know it's gonna happen.
Look, we've even interviewed him. He's a lovely guy. I just think that Colt Miners right now is so beaten down mentally.
By you.
No. It's hard, Poppy. Look, if CBS said, Mateo, you're going to get $5 million a show, I'll probably be here like this because I'm like, what do they expect from me? How can I possibly live up to $5 million? This is what Colt Miners is thinking. He's like, how can I live up to $60 million transfer fee when he can't even complete a simple pass 5 yards away? This guy, some players, and Bobo Vieri told us this, you can be a very good player at a decent level like Atalanta, where in Bergamo everyone's like, you're the best, you're the center of our squad. Juventus, Milan, Inter, there's teams that are different area completely where you need to have a different level of personality. And Christian Vieri said it. We had guys coming into Milan and Inter that they go to San Siro and they're trembling and they're looking around. They're like, they forget how to play football. So as much as we like him personally, we all say he's a lovely guy. That's great. But there's players like this that were brought in who clearly are not Juventus level, and under the bright lights and with the big price tag, they just completely melt away.
Not wrong.
Are you going to bring up Giuntoli now for making some of these selections?
Him.
And then I'll bring up Antonio Conte.
The problem, though, but the truth is, like a lot of people at home, oh, this guy's no good. It's not like that. Right. I mean, in some leagues it's even harder, but in this league as well, like you can't just sign a guy for $70 million and then just say, okay, you're out of here. Because if he's not doing well, nobody else wants him. They want him for half price. You know what I mean? So it's just when I watch this game and I watch what Milan did today, and I watch what Allegri does, it's very clear to me. I know, okay. And I know that the players know. We're going out here. This is what we're doing today. This is exactly what we're doing. This is what the game is going to look like. And whatever they prepared during the week, it looked pretty close to what they prepared. For Juventus, it seems like they just go out there and say, okay, let's see what they do, and we'll do the same thing. Or let's see where they try to hurt us, and then we'll try to react off of that. Because how can you play in games where it's 4-3, 4 whatever, the high results, the crazy yin-yang games, and then you play in a game 0-0? Mm-hmm. Which one is it? What are you trying to accomplish? And for me, the issue is that it's not the draw or the results or anything else. It's for me under Tudor. What are you trying? What do you want the game to look like? For sure, he didn't want the game to look like that today. I don't think so. Yeah,
you want the performance or you want the result, and at the minute it feels like Juventus scraping by on the result.
Still undefeated though, by the way. Yeah. Still undefeated. Yeah, so that's the term that drives you crazy.
Yeah.
That term.
You
is
look
like
at that Las Verona game, and there's been too many examples now where we're seeing things from last season creeping into this system too, and. The reality is they're handcuffed. Juventus are like this in the transfer market, right? Because they want to do so much more, but they can't because they've got massive contracts like Dusan Vlahovic that are there. And I think Vlahovic has actually been Juventus' best striker. It's not saying much because of David Openda, but Vlahovic has had some good moments where he reminds us of why they spent money that they did for this guy. They've got other, I'm not going to say Colt Miners again, I promise, but they got other guys in the midfield that they just cannot move away. So they can't go out and get that massive new midfielder, right? Or that big defender because they just can't get rid of these guys now.
Yeah. On the flip side, Milan, as you said, I totally agree. It's the progress that we're seeing with Milan. And even if they have missed chances, and I know we're going to see some of the missed chances that they have today, you could accept it because you know what they're going out to do. You could see that there's a plan to get better. They're playing away from home, and they're creating opportunities. This one is Pavlovic sending the ball into Jimenez, who Jimenez got himself, to his credit, he got himself into pretty good areas
That's a really
today.
Good header.
But this is the one, Luka Modric. What a pass. They added a player of Luka Modric's quality. Okay, you miss a penalty kick. Again, these are pills that you could swallow. You say, we went away from home to Juventus, who wanted to defend. We had our opportunities. We didn't take our opportunities. We need to do better than them. This one as well. Another one. It's a great ball from Christian. So that's why you have to judge the same result. You have to judge it in two different ways. Not just because they're playing, one's playing at home and one's playing away from home. It's because you could see exactly the progress of where this team wants to go once things completely click.
Here's just a look at the results, talking of clicking, because on Matchday 1 against Cremonese, we were a little bit concerned, right, with how this Milan was going to look under Max Allegri after so much turnover in the off-season. But now things look pretty stable. And I suppose good as well to see Rafael Leão coming back into the squad. Is this a team, Mateo, that you can see fighting for the Scudetto this season?
Now I can. I didn't at the beginning of the season. I didn't really know what to expect. I was excited about Modric and a few others, but to me, the fact that they're just 2 points away from top and they're so wasteful in the final third. Santi Jimenez should have 7 goals by now. He should be capocannoniere ×2 over anyone else. Jimenez has, I think, 8 or 9 big chances missed, which they define as chances where you have a clear goal-scoring opportunity that normally people score, and he's missed 7 of them. He still has 0 goals in Serie A. Leao's not fully fit. He scuffed 2 chances, and that's an issue because Leão, even at his best, has always had this rap of being inconsistent in the final third, right? He's a brilliant player. Everyone says how great he is behind the scenes. He's got all this limitless talent. But his final product is a bit of an adventure. So you have all these things going against you, and you're still only 2 points within first place. I think that's really good news because Nkunku is going to work his way into fitness. Leão is going to work his way into fitness. You can't just rely on Pulisic to solve your goal-scoring problems every single week. It cannot just be that one guy. They only have one number 9, and he hasn't put 1 goal away, and yet they're still having success. To me, Poppy, down to the defense. The defense, Tomori and Pavlovic and Gabbia are playing out of their minds. Out of their minds. Allegri knows just how to have a team be competent defensively. We've seen this throughout his career. This is nothing new, but I think we need to give him respect once again, just how good he is at making a team just look organized. That's all Milan needed, right, to get results.
And professional. Right? For me, one of the things, even in some of those games that we watch, it's the way that they've managed games. Because we've seen some highs of Milan because of the talent that they have within this roster. Because last year, their result in the table did not match the result in the quality of players that they have. They should have been way higher. It's that they're smart. They're intelligent. They're able to suffer through matches. They could see out 1-0 results. They don't get themselves into these boxing matches where they're both just swinging at each other, which I think was a huge problem that they had last year. So that sort of experience is something that you can only earn from a guy like Max Allegri, who's been there, he's done that, he's made subs that end up hurting you. So credit, once again, we said it in the last couple of shows, but credit to the Milan management, who got it wrong. They got it wrong twice. They got it wrong with Fonseca. They got it wrong with Conceição. They got it absolutely spot on in the transfer market with players like Luka Modric. But the best and biggest signing was getting Max Allegri at the helm.
How do you feel about Leão, Grella? Because this is somebody that 2 seasons ago we couldn't stop talking about, right? We were like, he's one of the best players. Milan didn't want to let him go. There was rumours that he could get sold for 100 million, 150 million. And now it feels, I hate to compare it to the Dybala situation, but it does feel a bit Dybala-ish, where he is their superstar player, where you're not really sure what you're going to get from him, but we just don't see him enough on the pitch, right? For Milan this season, is he still the one that we're relying on with all of Milan?
Yeah, I think it's early days for the season and for Leão. Like, he had a decent preseason, but then he was injured just recently. I don't think he's been as injured as Dybala's been. I think that's a little bit of a crazy stretch. But I don't think anyone in the world's been as on and off as Dybala. But I will say with Leão, the ceiling is so amazing. Like, when you watch him, we watched him live.
Still amazing though.
I think so. I think it's in there.
Are we losing that?
But when we're talking about,
he is who he is.
Those days feel a long time ago right now.
I agree. When they won the Serie A and he was MVP, and at the end of that season, some of those runs he went on, semi-final Champions League, by the way,
a long time ago though.
Off his back. Hold on, but off his back, semi-final Champions League. That's what we're talking about. The ceiling, though. Like, he's not too old. He can still, in that respect. But I think there's a mental side to Leão that maybe he just hasn't tapped into yet. You know, they say that about every athlete, about every person. There's moments in your life that, like, something clicks and you start figuring things out. It just seems to me like there's that switch hasn't gone off to say, hey, you could be one of the top 10 players in the world.
But do you still
it hasn't
believe
clicked.
that? Do you still believe he could be?
I think that if that switch goes off, and I think he starts to get it, I think he can be one of the top players.
I have less faith that it's coming,
because
though.
I've seen it.
I have less faith that it's coming. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm saying every year, I'm saying it's got to be his year. For me, it is this year. If it doesn't happen this year, it's never going to happen before. But the good thing about Milan is now it's not just Leão. There was times where they were only reliant on one player. Now there's so many other players within this roster that could solve games for them.
He's also not the most technical player. So these misses for me, are not a mental thing. These misses are like he's rusty, he's been injured, he comes in, and he is not the most technical player. 1v1 with space, he's fun to watch.
He is who he is.
But he's not like a killer finisher, that's never really been part of his game.
14 goals a season, 10 assists, puts up good numbers.
Yeah.
In the MVP year, we thought he could go on and be one of the best players in the world. He's a very good player, but he has his limitations too. And that's just the reality of Leão, but he's still a very good player for Milan.